Welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club.
And the power goes down. We are off on the start line of the October final for these women today. We are in with Elizabeth Van Hooling as the power is pushing through those pedals, and we are looking to get a great start. They're not going to want to take 29 riders into the final climb today, so how and where they stretch their legs and how and where they stretch this group, and if they can lose some riders off the back of the group on this first category 4 climb. But we've got 3 riders out front and 3 class riders out front: Manshandi, Bauer and Gilson. 2 seconds clear now of the chasing group. Bauer kicks, Gilson follows. This is going to be it. These are going to see attack after attack now, because Bauer and Gilson, do they want to take Brogan and Moreno into the sprint? Bauer's gone at 10 miles per kilo. Gilson is following 9.5. Gilson, I think, is going to come up onto the wheel of Bauer. Moreno and Brogan now 3 seconds back, as you can start to see Bauer and Gilson's attacks maybe starting to pay off here. Bauer is going to take it. Bauer takes the win on the October final. Gilson comes in. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to qualifier race 1 of the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club in November. It's November the 6th today, and as we mentioned, it's qualifier 1, and what a final we had in October. Amazing racing between Jojo Bauer and Rebecca Gilson, and 3 seconds in the end that category 1 race came down to. And we are looking forward to more outstanding racing in November. So the course the women will race today is in front of you: 35 kilometers in distance, 331 meters of climbing today, and 2 main climbs. Ending in the final climb of the race today are category 3 climb, 4.9 kilometers in length, with an average gradient of 3.7%. Though let that not lull you into a false sense of security, it will be much steeper in places today. So our first climb coming today at 5.9 kilometers, 3.3k, 2.1% average gradient, and then we roll the long section, nearly 22 kilometers of transition rolling section before that final category 3 climb today. 7 segments today on this course: 3 at 1 kilometre, 1 at 2.5, 1 at 3, 1 at 5, and then that final segment 7, 3.5 kilometres in distance, and finishing 1.3k before the finish line. So those segments today will give us some really good indications on the racing today and how the action is coming about, because it's not the lead group times through that, it is the fastest riders through the segment, and obviously that is not always the person in the front of the race, because we often see riders chasing and catching, and the segments give us a really good indication for that. So today we are in November, and for November we have 4 categories now moving through for the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. So category 1 teams today, our category 1 riders will be wearing the yellow jerseys today, and in the team competition there is 1 team today. Let's remember that most of the team competition takes place in our final each month. So today we've got Brogan and Quevedo riding for Spartan Obstacles. Las Colombianas won the team competition in October. Spartan Obstacles were second in category 1. So we've got 28 riders from category 1 on the start sheets today. In category 2, our category 2 riders will be in green today. 24 riders on the start sheets, 4 teams: the Whooshers, Team RT Cycle Zone Ladies 1, Team Golden Light, Team Fitness 10. Team Fitness 10 finished in 3rd place in the team competition in October. Try Women and Strong Women taking the 1-2 in category 2. In category 3 today, just one team on the start line. Adriana Barco for Climate Girls will be in the blue jerseys of category 3, along with 10 other riders on the start line today. And that leads us into category 4. So, for those of you who have joined us on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club before, you'll know we've had 3 categories. This November, we are launching category 4. The riders will be in red. And Empress, Ligea de Zuzman will indeed be racing for the Empress team today. But there are 13 riders in this new category on the start line today. So it's going to be great to see 4 categories and how they progress through November. So we go down to the start line of the Sunday Race Club today, and we are in with Gemma Brogan. Great ride by Brogan last week in the October final, a 4th place in the end from Gemma Brogan. She went with that lead group of 4 and was rewarded for her efforts. So a rolling start for the first just shy of 6 kilometres today. As the gun goes and the power goes down on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club qualifier 1 in November for these women. And Brogan and others push hard out of the gun today to make that selection in the first group. Because racing, as we know, and the first group and making that selection is so key to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. So we're in here with Bjarhead. As the race goes live, 300 meters into this race, and the riders are still pushing to go clear and make that first group selection. So you can see on the top right hand corner of your screen, you've got the road laid out in front of you and a long stretch of riders in that blob. In fact, that graphic is fabulous for looking at groups and closing and the stretch of the race course in front of us today. So as we are in with this group today, we can see the group is stretching behind, but there is a large group of riders in this front group. So we're currently in with Marlena Bjarhead. Bjarhead, one of our category 1 riders, showing still nearly 40 riders in this front group as they push on through the first kilometre of racing today. So round this sweeping right-hand bend goes our lead group, and we are looking at 51 riders in this group. So a very few riders distance from this at the moment, as we are in with one of our blue jersey wearers, one of our category 3 racers, Paula Ochoa, currently sat in 50th place, and you can see just behind, about to be joined by one of the other category 3 riders. In fact, that's Sarasuk behind, and one of our category 1 riders as well, Serena, just joining to form a group of 3 there. So those 3 will work together well now in terms of the back end of this race. So they are now looking at this about 8 or 9 seconds back from our lead group today as they sweep round that left-hand bend. So we are in with Gaviria, and we are in with this large group of racers, around 50 riders currently in this large group, showing you why it's so important to get a good start, because if you are in with this lead group of this women's race today, you will be able to make benefit of a very substantial draft. So we're in with Gaviria, and you can see on the top left-hand side of your screen, that's where all the data for the riders are. Currently at 222 watts, 99 revs per minute, and a heart rate of 156. And that wattage is turning from black to green A black number indicates that the rider is not in the draft. A green number indicates the rider is in the draft. So you'll see Gavaria at the moment benefiting from that draft, while Paolo, who we have just dropped back in with in 46th position, is just got on the draft of Barco in front and is actually now struggling to keep the pace and struggling to stay with that group as that Category 4 rider comes off the back of our lead group today. So we drop in with Lanteri. Lanteri, one of our green jersey Category 2 riders, comfortably in this leading group of now what must be around 45 riders. So a number of riders in here today: Stevenson, Lanteri, Garioni, Bardaskaya, Brogan, McCarthy. Strong riders. Julie Sanchez is in here as well. If you remember back to last week's October final and the 4 riders out front, and then the sprint for 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th position in the women's race. Julie Sanchez took the win literally on the line of the Category 2 race from Jenny Sanchez and Gavaria. Sanelli, the long-time Category 2 leader of the race, finishing in 4th with that sprint coming over the top. Really, really strong racing in Category 2 last week, and really exciting racing in Category 2 last week. In fact, great racing throughout all 3 categories in the October final. Category 1, as we mentioned earlier, saw Bauer take it from Gilson by 3 seconds, with Moreno, Brogan and Oliveri in 3rd, 4th and 5th. It was a Sanchez 1-2 in Category 2, with Gavaria, Sanelli and Olsen rounding out the top 5. And then Dadson, Quintero, Giuliano, Cabrianton and Barco rounding out the top 5 in Category 3. So this month we move to 4 race categories, and we can see that in this lead group with 4 different coloured jerseys. So our yellow Category 1 jerseys, our green Category 2 jerseys, blue for Category 3 and red for Category 4. And we've got a big, strong group of riders in this lead pack. The first 5.9 kilometres of this race course today are fairly flat, and through segment 1 we can see that. So segment 1 just complete with Zabala, Tandingen, Gavaria, Poulton coming through in 4th place. A steady pace and a steady wattage. Look at that average watts per kilo, 2.6, 3.0. These riders are not pushing on at the moment. 1 minute and 50 seconds to go through a 1 kilometre segment. So showing that the group is rolling at the moment, and rolling at a very steady pace, particularly for our Category 1 riders. If we pull out Jojo Bauer, last month's winner there, her heart rate average of 140 during that 1 kilometre segment, showing this is a really comfortable starting pace for some of our riders. You can see others working much harder, particularly our Category 4 rider heart rates there, indicating they were working much harder for that 1 kilometre segment. Okay, so we are back in with this lead group, and this lead group is still really a big group of riders. We're currently sat in with some Category 2 riders here and working our way through. In fact, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4 Category 4 jerseys in there. So some great tactics playing out with our Category 4, new Category 4 riders. The longer they can hold in that group, the better off they will be, because one of the better tactics here on MyWhoosh is to go hard from the gun and see how long you can hold in that main group, and hope that your competitors in Category 4, Category 3 or Category 2 are the ones being distanced from the group behind. So as we drop back towards the back of that group, we're in with Rebecca Gilson at the moment. Gilson second last month, currently riding next to Ella Dadson, Carla Leona, our Category 4 riders. In fact, we're still counting more than 40 riders in this lead group today. So more than 40 riders still in this lead group as we are rolling through this flatland section before we get to the first climb on this women's course today. This first climb coming at 5.9 kilometres. So still 1k to go before the front group of this race get there today. Just taking a little bit of a look back down the course. So 45th place at the moment, Cerna here. Currently 53 seconds off that front group. So 44 riders in that front group at the moment. And here we are just looking at this small chasing group behind. So we've got Cerna, we've got Madeira, and 2 more Category 4 riders just behind as well. So the lead riders from Category 4 are indeed in this front group. In fact, the leading 4 riders from Category 4 are in this group. We're currently just sat in with Rebecca Gilson as we roll through what is the start of segment 2 on this course today for these women. So segment 2 will take us into the start of that first climb. So flat to start with, and then we will start to see the climb come for this lead group, and this segment will give us some indication of what is happening with these riders. So 44 riders going into the base in group 1 of this first climb on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. We are here on the 6th of November for the first qualifier this month. So as the gradient starts to gently ease its way into this group's legs, the group will start to feel it, and we can start to see a slight stretch on this group and one rider just being distanced. That graphic on the right hand side in the top corner giving us a really good indication of what's going on. For those of you who are new to us, the graphic on the right-hand bottom corner is the list of riders in this group. We are currently highlighting and watching Jenny Tan, currently in 22nd position, currently putting out 3.7 watts per kilo, having travelled 6.2 kilometres. You're seeing what our riders are seeing as well, and when there is a large group such as this one with 44 riders in it, you can't see all the riders on the screen, and you need to really keep your eyes open for attacks and to see what else is going on in front of you. But you can see here as we come to the end banner of this segment, this group is starting to stretch a little bit more as the gradient is starting to move up. So, slightly quicker segment than last time, slightly higher average watts, slightly higher heart rates as Olsen goes through with the fastest time, followed by Rebecca Gilson, followed by Giraldo, Stevenson, Oliveri, Biarhead, Marin, Brogan, Garioni, Quevedo, Sinelli. These are all riders we would expect at this point in time to be in this group. Strong Category 1 riders and our leading Category 2 riders. So 1:47 for that segment, and we can start to see the power going down and that climb starting to have an effect. So still a large number of riders in this group, as we can see, not just from the time gaps from that segment, but we can see on this screen in front of us. In fact, actually on that right hand side screen, you can now see a gap, and this gap group of 44 riders looks as though it's now split in 2. So just scrolling back and looking through, it's looking like we've got a group of at least 30 riders in this lead group, and then we've got a gap back now to a smaller group of riders behind. So this first climb that our riders are on today, 800 meters still to go on this climb. It's long, it's 3.31 kilometers in length, but it is not very steep. So an average gradient of 2.1%. We've seen the gradient go higher, currently at 3.5% the gradient at the moment, but it's not a really steep climb. It's enough for this group just to stretch itself and for some riders to be distanced, but not a huge number of riders to be distanced. As we see an attack go in from Rebecca Gilson at the front, Maria Marin and Jojo Bauer are covering it, and Embring is looking at covering it too. So Gilson goes over the top here and pushes on. 6 watts per kilo from Gilson at the moment, because 30 riders is just too many, particularly as it's a long transition section of 22 kilometres from the top of this climb to the base of the next. So Gilson pushes on. Bauer and Marin are going too. So's Oliveri. So's Cavedo. These are the women we expect to be up here. Biarhead and Antico are going too. They're really keeping their wits about them. But it's still looking like we've got 28 riders in this lead group. So can they establish a gap? We're currently in with Bauer. Bauer is currently sat in this group along with Garioni, Gavari, Santiago, Olsen, Stevenson, Brogan, Para, Antico. This group now is looking like they have broken some of the riders that were in that large group of 44. No longer 44 riders, but we are now looking. I'm going to estimate for you, I reckon there's about 30 riders in that group. Look at that. Currently 27 riders. Looking at that. Kokkonen hasn't made the catch. Kokkonen is the rider just off the group. She's 5 seconds back off that group. Lantari hasn't made that group either. So it's looking as though we are 25 riders in that group with a gap now back. So 19 riders distanced from this lead group from that climb. A group of 44 are now down to 25. Still a large group, but much smaller than 44 that went into the base of that climb. So we are up and over the first climb on the women's MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club today. We took 44 women in the lead group into the base of that climb, and 25 riders have come over the top clear. This group now moving really comfortably, and you can see the pace at the front of the group really start to rotate, and the riders at the front of the group really starting to rotate as they keep the average kph of the group high. 33 kph, 37, 38 kph that that group are traveling at. We drop back in further down the group here, and these are the riders who were in the group at the bottom of the climb. These are the group that has been distanced now as they all start to come back together again. Distance in 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s, starting to now form their own groups on the road. Quintero here, our category 3 rider in 33rd place, currently riding alongside Georgina Hyde, a category 4 rider, and Ella Dadson, a category 4 rider as well today. So forming a good, strong group of category 3 and category 4 riders. We jump back in with Jojo Bauer just rolling through the front of this lead group. So 9.5 kilometres travelled for the lead group in this women's MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. We are qualifier 1 for November, and these women are now transitioning through the rolling terrain on this course between our 2 main climbs today. So they have gone up and over the 3.3 kilometre, 2.1% average gradient climb number 1. They have a transition section of around 22 kilometres before they hit the bottom of the final climb of the day. The final climb of the day is a category 3 climb. 4.9 kilometres in length, an average gradient of 3.7%, but it will get steeper during that, and the finish line is right at the top. So 10 kilometres travelled, we've just gone under the blue banner indicating the start of segment 3. Segment 3 is our final 1 kilometre segment on this race course today and will give us an indicator of where we are now at with this front group and how fast the group off the back are moving. So this group travelling very comfortably together and transitioning now. It's looking as though average watts per kilo are currently sat around 2.5 to 3, and there is a lot of drafting going on in this group. The pace is high. We are on a downhill section. The pet group is currently moving at around 45 kilometres per hour. So it is going to be a fast race today, even though it is a large group, purely because of the drafting dynamics and how that makes the speed of the group go really well. So currently 25 riders around in this group and a strong group of category 2 riders as well as our category 1 riders. And the names we would be looking for and the names that we would be expecting as they roll under the end banner, the finish banner of that segment. So a fast downhill segment, 1 kilometre, and let's look at that. So Gilson goes through in the fastest time of 1 minute 25 seconds, and as we can see, really dramatically quicker from segment 1, which was 1 minute 50 seconds. So Jenny Tan in second, but the group going through right the way down to Jojo Barra in 12th place, less than a second from 1st to 12th there. So the large group going through at a good pace and all together. Looking at the average watts per kilo, we are looking at some really steady paced riding here. 2.4, 2.8, 2.7, 3.5 there from Embring, just doing a little bit more work than the others. But the heart rates are really, really indicating that these riders are riding well within themselves. So heart rates barely touching the 150s. And we've seen Gilson go right up to 207 in her heart rate. So the ability to move a long way. So I'm just scrolling back through the list there on the segment on my screen, and I can see Moreno went through there in 28th position. Within 1 second of the leader. So 28 women confirmed in that lead group going through that segment within 1 second of each other. So 28 riders in this lead group working really well together and very comfortable at this point in time in this race. So comfortably 28 riders. As we just drop back actually down through the field and we are in with Terry Tandingang and looking at what possibly is the lead rider in our category 4 race. Carla Leona 50 seconds behind with Erin Poulton. Poulton and Leonora are strong riders that we've seen before racing. But 50 seconds to make up now. And these are the benefits around staying in that group as long as possible. The longer you can stay in those lead groups before you drop off the back, and the hardest part is staying in that group. But if you can stay there, you can really see some benefits. So it's looking like 50 seconds between the lead rider in category 4 and the chaser. So back in with our lead group, and it's looking as though we are starting to see this whittle down a little. So as we take that left-hand bend, this group is still riding really comfortably together. So the lead group on the right-hand side of your screen and the lead group in what looks like that category 4 and category 3 race. on the left-hand side of your screen. So just pulling up that race, we're currently sat in with Georgina Hyde, currently sat in 34th position, looking like that's the front of the Category 4 race. In fact, look there, there's Dadson and Tandington and Poulton behind. So in fact, Georgina Hyde is the first rider in that Category 4 race, just joined there by her compatriot there in terms of that race field. And it's looking like Dadson is also in that group. So we've got 1, 2, and 3 in the Category 4 race in this group with Quintero, Lopez, and Giuliano from Category 3. So a strong group, 6 riders here riding together, Category 4 lead here. Really competitive racing. As we said, throughout these fields, as we drop back in with this lead group. So this lead group here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, 14 kilometres now travelled. We are into segment number 4 for these riders. It's a 2.5 kilometre segment, which should give us some ideas of how this group are moving. So just slightly back down the road, Pardini is here with Lantari. 2 strong riders here, but they are now chasing. They are 45 seconds back off of the group in front. The group in front is looking to be 28 riders still, as Pandani and Lantari are the 2 riders that have been distanced off of that group. So these 2 Category 2 riders are our chase group at the moment on the road, as our lead group of 28 riders is 45 seconds ahead. So as we drop back in with the lead group, they are 200 metres up the road from the chasing 2 riders. 14.8 kilometres travelled in this race. 35 kilometres total race distance, with the finish line coming at the top of a Category 3 climb today. So Jenny Tan, currently one of our Category 2 riders, stats looking really comfortable at the moment. 215 watts, 74 RPM, 139 her heart rate. So comfortable riding at the moment for Tan. Currently in Bjarhead, Embring, Kokkonen is in that group, Bardaskaya, McCarthy, Santiago, Stevenson, Quevedo, Carmona, Sinelli. Really strong riders, week in, week out, racing on the Sunday Race Club in here today. If you're watching this and thinking you would really like a go, we've got 4 race categories on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. If you are interested in joining us next week, head over to the mywhoosh.com website, download the app and take a ride. Click on the events page to sign up to the Sunday Race Club. You will need to register for the Sunday Race Club at least 12 hours prior to the race start. The racing structure of the Sunday Race Club, if you don't know, we race all month with a final on the last Sunday of the month. You need to have 2 qualifying races verified to join us in the final. Some months you will find there's 4 qualifier races, others there are 3, depending on the length of the month. So all categories also need to submit a weigh-in video and perform a dual verification to be part of the Sunday Race Club and to get a verified race. This way we can assure as much as possible fair racing for everybody. So As we turn to segment 4, this segment was 2.5 kilometres, and a large amount of it was downhill for these riders. We can see Olsen goes through Quevedo, Kukkonen, Oliveri, Para, Bardskaya. We can see from first through to 12th there within half a second of each other. So this large group of riders still together, still comfortable. Heart rate slightly higher than through the last segment, but average watts per kilo 2.83s. Comfortable group riding at the moment for these riders. So join us on the Sunday Race Club. Head over to that events page. And I would also strongly recommend to you, you'll also find all the information and a number of documents over there as well. So you'll find the technical guide, the rule sets, and also a frequently asked questions page. There is so much information there. Head over, take a look, have a good read, set up your turbo trainer, and join us on the Sunday Race Club. So we are watching Ursula Bardskaya in this lead group of women, 17 kilometres now travelled on a 35-kilometre race. So we are nearly at half race distance. Rolling terrain now until we get to the bottom of the final climb there at 30.1 kilometres. That indicates we are at the bottom of the final category 3 climb, and the finish line is at the top, 4.9 kilometres in length, 3.7% average gradient, but it's deceptive. It's a lot steeper in places today. So that final climb, we're expecting the racing to be fast and furious, but the question will be, will this group of 28 riders all still be together at the bottom of that climb? So Bardskaya we are currently in with at the moment, and Olsen here, one of our category 2 riders, is riding strongly and up near the front of this group of women, this lead pack on the course today. So as our road sweeps ahead of us and sweeps round to the left-hand side, this is a very flat section of the course today, as we saw. And group riding and recovery is part and parcel of what looks to be going on here. So as we drop back now, Lantari and Pardini are the 2 riders chasing. They are 55 seconds back off this lead group. So there's a big gap now, and these 2 riders find themselves between that large group, and then we've got riders further back in 1s and 2s who have, as they've been dropped from this front group today. So Lantari and Pardini find themselves now nearly a minute. So yep, indeed, look at that. We are now heading to the minute marker back from the lead group, and that will literally just be the pace at which the lead group are traveling because of the draft on this flat lands. Much easier to be riding and traveling in a large group when the terrain is flat, and making the ability to use the draft than riding out on your own in 1s or 2s. So this lead group at the moment go under the start banner of our next segment. So this is segment 5. So 3 kilometres in length, and it is rolling terrain during this segment. So this group we're currently in with Stevenson, one of our category 1 riders. And this group are really just rolling very comfortably today. On the right-hand side of your screen, we're back in with this leading group in the category 4 race. These 3 riders are looking really good. So Tandingani, Dadson, and I'm looking for the other rider. But there we go. Hyde, Georgina Hyde is our other rider in there. So looking really good. These riders are riding really well and really strongly. This is the first race where we have had 4 categories on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. And it is great to see such competitive racing in all 4 categories. So Dadson here riding strongly. Tandine going as well as Hyde. Those 3 riders really racing strongly for that Category 4 win. So we're just dropping back in now with our Category 1 riders in this leading race as we start to see this group start to stretch a little here. So 19.5 kilometres travelled. We've got a slight incline at the moment, just 1.5%. But it's been enough for the pressure to go down on the pedals in an attempt to split this group. So Sanchez, Stevenson, Antico, Olsen, Gilson, Bjarhead, all pushing on the pedals and stretching this group a little bit, but all starting to come back together a little as Gilson goes again. 7 watts per kilo. Gilson kicks, and you can see the stretch on that group behind her, but they're all coming back, and they're all coming back slowly, but they're all making that catch. So Gilson continues to push on the front, 6 watts per kilo. This group is too big, and Gilson knows it, and she wants to do something about it. So Gavaria and Marin all coming through. Olsen, Cavado, McCarthy, all pushing through now as this group stretches and rolls, and riders snowball over the top of each other, trying to make sure they're not the ones dropped off the back. So we are now over the 20-kilometre race mark as this slight decline here picks the pace up of these riders as they all start to move through now. This group of 28 riders has stretched and has seen Gilson go off the front and stretch her legs, but the group has all come back together again. So as they tick on, someone else is just pushing on those pedals and stretching off the front. We're regularly seeing, and it's Gilson again. I don't know why I said somebody else. Just Gilson, and Marin goes over the top. Marin's gone over the top. Gilson, Brogan, Para, they are continuing to push and continuing to see if they can stretch this group and drop people off the back. Gutierrez as well, our Category 2 rider, Louisa, is continuing to go with that group. So is Martina Garioni and Julie Sanchez. Strong Category 2 riders at the front end of the Category 2 pack, still in this lead group today. So we're looking back here and trying to see if we can see the back end of this group, but I'm still seeing 22, 23, 24 riders in this group as they go round that right-hand bend. They are slightly more stretched along the road because the pace has picked up now. We've been sat at 2.5, 3.5 watts per kilo. The pace is picking up now. This is a very large group of riders to take into the second half of this race. So the riders go through the banner indicating the end of that 3K segment. So 4 minutes, 44 seconds for this lead group going through here. Garioni just ticking through at the front here. Gavaria, Sanchez, Giraldo, Stevenson, right the way down again. Less than half a second down to 12th place in that group, indicating that that group is still rolling through really strongly. Watts per kilo slightly ticking up now. We've got 3.5, 3.7, 3.9, 4.1. Riders are now starting to have to work a little bit harder to stay in this group, but those average heart rates are indicating that whilst Reynard there is ticking at 166, this still is fairly comfortable pace and riding for these women. So that was segment 5, and this group are still all together. Counting these riders in this group, we're still seeing 28 riders in this group, as Garioni is the rider who went through at the fastest time on that segment. We will move through to the next segment shortly, and that will be our 5-kilometre segment today. So We've still got 28 women in this group, and we have 12.5 kilometres left of racing today. The strong Category 2 riders are still in this group, along with the front end of our Category 1 race. And in fact, looking at that, 26 riders now in this group, 2 minutes back to Lanteri. And actually, we're looking at that and seeing that. And I'm just going to take a little look back through the segment counter and just double check those numbers for you. So as we scroll down through that segment and we take a look at where those riders are. So 27 riders we are counting within that first second of that lead group. And then it's looking like 2 minutes back to 28. So 27 riders in this lead group of the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. We are in with the first women's qualifier of November. As they tick under that banner, the start banner for segment 6. So 27 riders in this lead group, and then we have chasers behind, and chasers spread all over the course behind, because this pack are moving at a really strong pace together. In fact, in 28th place, Lantari is 2.5 minutes back. Then Pardini, 3 seconds back, 44 seconds back to Octiza, 56 seconds back to Hyde, and you can see the riders spread across this course behind. 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, all behind this group of 27 riders on the course today. So if you want to check out what's happening with MyWhoosh outside of the broadcasts for the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, head over to social media. You can follow MyWhoosh on their YouTube channel. You can follow them on Twitter, on Instagram, and on Facebook. You can also get in touch with me and follow me on social media at Biking Emma on Instagram, or Full Speed Events. We love to hear from you between racing. Let us know what you're doing. Let us know where your turbo trainer is set up, and let us know about your team. And that team competition as the month plays out is always really interesting. So please do feel free to get in touch through any of us through social media. There's great communities online. And the MyWhoosh community is always really supportive. So this front group are still all together. We've got 11 kilometres of racing left for this front group as we are in with Karuk Kavedo as we tap round these corners and continue to transition. The next climb, the final climb of this race course, comes at 30.1 kilometres, at 4.9 kilometres in length. It takes us to the finish flag at the top. It's a Category 3 climb finish today with a 3.7% average gradient that will split this field. It will split this field if we see attacks, but at the moment there is no attacks going. We saw a couple of attacks and a couple of leg stretches from Rebecca Gilson and Maria Marin not too long ago. But currently, everyone is very comfortable sitting in this group and transitioning to the bottom of this climb. So we sweep round this left-hand bend, which will take us to sweep round the right-hand bend in front of us. This is flatlands at the moment, and this group are rolling through very comfortably together as Brogan just pushes the pace a little bit on the front. Brogan just tapping out around 6 watts per kilo, but as we drop back in to the right-hand side, we drop back in with some of our Category 4 riders. And our Category 4 riders here, we saw Hyde and Tandingen down the road. We are currently in with some of the riders, I think, slightly further back. So Vergara, Angadelo here, and the riders in that category 4, first time today that category 4 has come out on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. So great to see racing right the way through the race field, whether it's category 1, category 2, category 3 or category 4, competitive racing through all of the fields. And that is what is important, because in terms of being placed in the right category. Category 1, the highest level of ability. Category 4, the lowest. But collecting the data and collecting information and making sure that you are in a race with like racers is what is really important here. And we see the fact that all of the categories are competitive. So that's what is important. So Maria Marin has pushed on. Jojo Barr has gone with her. Julie Sanchez, Karib Quevedo, Gemma Brogan. The power is going down at the front of this group. As you can see on the top right-hand corner, the group is stretching as Bauer goes again. But Bauer has backed off, and Brogan and Marin, they're trying to push away. But have they done enough? Or is this group just going to come back together again? So this group have backed off a little bit, but Gilson has decided it's time to go. 8.1 watts per kilo from Gilson. Bauer is trying to push on. So's Moreno and Marin and Quevedo. Julie Sanchez, who won the Category 2 race for the October final, is with them. And Gilson goes again. She's had enough now. 27 riders is too many. Gilson, Marin, Bauer, Brogan, really pushing now across the bridge, trying to form a group. Bauer's gone over the top. Brogan is currently second wheel. Marin and Gilson also there. But the main pack are coming, and they've not gone hard enough to break them yet. So 5 riders went clear. 5 riders now caught as the rest of the group is coming up to the back wheel. 27 riders in this group, and the kicks have started to come on the front. 26.6 kilometers now traveled as we start to see 27 riders still in this group, but we've got a couple just off the back, but very close and highly likely to catch onto the back of this group. So a couple of riders just off the back of this group. Santiago looking like that, and it's looking like 12 seconds back there. So maybe now we've got 24 riders in this main group. 3 chasers just being distanced by that push, and Bardeskaya is one of them. Ursula Bardeskaya has been caught out by that group, by that push. So 15 seconds back now. So 24 riders now in this lead group, and we've got a little bit of a tail just behind as we are starting to see a bit more of a push and a bit more of an attention being given to breaking this group at the front of this race. So Bardeskaya here getting caught out with those attacks, pushing on. She's currently pushing at 4.4 watts per kilo in an attempt to close back down. But Bardeskaya can just see, I think, the riders in front of her. But those riders in front of her are also distanced from that group. So Bardeskaya currently in 27th place, currently riding at 4 watts per kilo, attempting to time trial her way back onto this group in front. But we've got 20 riders in this group now with a bit of a gap back. So there's some distances now being made. These attacks are starting to cause some problems, but 20 riders still clear in this group, then 7 seconds back to 21st place. So 20 riders still in this lead group, 27.9 kilometers traveled. We are shortly coming up to the end of segment number 6. I spoke a little bit too late there as we crossed the blue banner as I said it. So the blue banner indicating the end of segment number 6, our 5-kilometer segment today. And we can see the story of this group. So Moreno, Gaviria, Oliveri, Bauer, McCarthy, Stevenson. We keep going back down that again. Less than half a second, the top 12 riders going through that group. So less than half a second, the top 12 riders, as we scroll down even further to find out how big and confirm how big that group is. So confirmation then that Rebecca Gilson was the 20th rider to go through that group at the back of that group. So 20 riders clear in that group now. 20 riders with a gap back to Jenny Tan, who is 21st on the road, 10 seconds back now. So that group of 20 riders have established a 10-second gap on the group behind. The group behind containing Tam, Carmona, Embring, Anna Embring, one of our being caught out there, Santiago as well. So some good riders being caught out there as we see Bauer go off the front and Marin go as well. 20 riders is still too many because it's the top 5 that are going to count in the category 1 and the top 5 in category 2, and there's too many riders in this group for comfort. So Bauer pushing on, Maria Marin for company, 4 seconds back to Oliveri and Brogan. 4 seconds back to the chasing group, but these two are clear at the moment and they are pushing on. So 29.3 kilometres travelled, 35 kilometres is the finish line as Gilson tries to close the gap. Gilson's pushing at 7 watts per kilo to close the gap. She's not having Bauer and Marin down the road on their own. Brogan is there. Gilson is likely to bring this group with her if she's not careful. She's not going to close the gap on her own. She's going to take them all with her. So Bauer and Marin, 3 seconds clear as the riders snowball over the top of Gilson's attempt to catch the two out front. This group are now sat at 3 seconds back with the two riders, Maria Marin and Jojo Bauer, out front at the moment. So with just over 5 kilometres to go on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, we've got 2 women out front, Jojo Bauer and Maria Marin. We've then got a chasing group of 18 riders. 18 riders in this chasing group, not able to close the gap, but the gap is only around 3 seconds, though it's looking as though they're stretching this as Bauer and Marin go into the final segment of the day. The final segment of the day coming just as we start to see the final climb come for this race field today. This final climb, the finish line is at the top. It's a category 3 climb, 4.9 kilometres in length, 3.7% average gradient, but as we will see, steeper gradients than that indicates. Bauer and Marin pushing on at the front here, holding a good, strong pace. And they need to, because there's 2 seconds between them and the chase group behind. In fact, the chase group are coming and the chase group are pushing hard. So Bauer and Maria Marin just hanging on out front as the gradient climbs to just shy of 5% on this climb, and we've still got a large group of riders in chase and a large group of women at the front of this race today. So they are hanging by a thread. 2 seconds in front of this group is Bauer and Marin, but Brogan is pushed. Brogan's just put out 7 watts per kilo. She kicked hard, 8 watts per kilo. Brogan is adamant she's going up to Bauer and Marin. She's taking the rest of them with her. Look at this stretch on this field. So Brogan, Moreno, Gilson, Oliveri, Marin and Bauer are Category 1 riders, joined by our Category 2 rider, Giraldo Arias, joining that group as well. pushing on and seeing the danger for the Category 2 win. But we've got other Category 2 riders keeping an eye on what's going on, as well as Antico and Olsen and Sinelli push on as well. Sinelli missing out on that win last week, just got caught literally on the line. Gilson now pushes. Bauer comes across, and we've seen a Gilson-Bauer attack, and we've seen a Gilson-Bauer almost team time trial of not teammates go clear at the front. And Marin has seen these tactics before, and she's not letting them go on their own, and neither's Brogan. So Gilson, Marin, Bauer, Brogan, Geraldo Arias. Attack after attack, stretch after stretch, response after response. These women keep going. This was a group of 20 riders at the bottom of this climb. We have seen stretching of legs. We've seen attacks. We've seen Gilson, Bauer, Moreno, Marin pushing on. Brogan. No one has broken this group yet. It has whittled its way down. It is now around 10, 11, 12 riders. As we see the riders who have been distanced off the back here, Karub Quevedo currently 10 seconds off the back. So Quevedo and Reynard, Sanchez and McCarthy distance off this group. We've got 12 riders now in this lead group, and some class riders being distanced off the back. So Quevedo currently tapping along in 13th place, having been distanced off of the back of this lead group of 12 women. 3 kilometres left to race. They are all uphill. Gilson kicks 7.7 watts per kilo. Oliveri's watching. So's Bauer. Gilson is not going to get away with putting this gap in here. Maria Marin today is covering everything. Bauer kicking on behind, towing the rest of the group up as Gilson tries to go over the top again, and Marin and Bauer controlling the front of that group. So we are seeing kick after kick from the leading women in this group. 12 riders in this lead group on the road today. We have our leading Category 2 women and our leading Category 1 women. It has been a long 22-kilometre rolling transition from our first climb of the day into our second and final climb of the day. This is a Category 3 climb, currently 5.5% gradient at the moment as they sweep round this left-hand bend. And Gilson puts another attack in, 6.3 watts per kilo, as Bauer is the one to respond with Oliveri and Brogan behind. Marin is watching, but there's 3 seconds now. And it needs to be careful because this is the point in the race where an attack is going to stick. And if you don't go with it, or if you can't go with it, the gaps are going to form. So Gilson is pushing hard at the front of this race. Jojo Bauer and Gemma Brogan are crossing the gap. Maria Marin is with them, but we're starting to see gaps here, and we're starting to see Geraldo Arias currently in 6th place, but she's back at the end of that tail of riders with a gap back to Garioni behind her of 3 seconds. So Geraldo Arias is leading the Category 2 race, but Garioni is coming up fast behind as these 5 riders are out the front at the moment. They've got a 5-second gap. So I've got Brogan, Bauer, Gilson, Oliveri and Marin here. 5 riders out front. So 33 kilometres gone. 1.9k left to go in this race, and we've got 5 riders out front with an 8-second gap back to the chasers. The chasers here, Garioni and Geraldo Arias, these 2 riders have got 4 seconds or more gain. Olsen and Gavaria, as well as Antico and Sinelli. So this is the Category 2 race unfolding in front of us. 2 riders out front and a 4-second gap back now to the chasing riders in this category. There are still more than 5 riders within 5 seconds of each other, and that category 2 race is still pushing. But out front, we've got an attack moving off the front by Brogan. Jojo Bauer is going with her, Oliveri and Gilson. Maria Marin is getting caught napping, and Marin needs to put a gap. She needs to put a kick in, does Marin now, because Marin is 2 or 3 seconds behind as Bauer goes over the top, and Brogan is there with Gilson and Oliveri. But Marin has got to close that gap and actually come up as she manages to do that. So 5 riders still at the front of this group. 5 riders now clear. This group of 12 riders is now 5. So Gilson kicks at 6.6 watts per kilo. We've seen it before and we'll see it again as she goes underneath that banner. And that is the end of our final segment today. So 1.3k to the finish from the end of this segment as Rebecca Gilson shows that she's been the fastest rider through that segment. And those attacks have proved pertinent. 7 minutes 44, Gilson, Brogan, Oliveri, Bauer and Marin. Those are our top 5, and you can see the difference in pace through that section. So Bauer, Gilson, Brogan, Oliveri and Marin, 5 riders clear at the front of this race as Gilson takes that jersey in that segment. That was our final segment. 1k to go. 1 kilometre left on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. So Brogan, Bauer, Oliveri, Gilson, Maria Marin, still with that group of 5 as we see this group pushing on slightly further back down the road. We're seeing the damage done in what was this lead group, but it's looking as though those category 2 women are coming back together again for that category win. Maria Marin has kicked hard, 7.7 watts per kilo from Marin as she's decided she doesn't want to run out of road with these 5 riders. Gilson's coming hard and Gilson's going to go over the top, but Marin, can she respond as Bauer comes over the top as well? There's still 600 metres to go here as Gilson, Marin, Bauer and Brogan have dropped Oliveri. So Bauer, Marin, Brogan, Gilson and Oliveri. Oliveri 2 seconds back now, 3 seconds back, but these riders have started to come back together again. They have got 400 metres left to race today as Bauer and Gilson push on at the front. Maria Marin is there at 8 watts per kilo. The kicks are starting to come. They've got 200 metres left to race as the banner is about to come into sight. Bauer, Brogan, Gilson, Marin, Oliveri, and Marin kicks at 11 watts per kilo. 9, 10, 1, Bauer, Gilson. 4 riders over that line together. Oh, we need that. Look at that. So as Oliveri comes in for 5th place, the results come up. Jojo Bauer takes it from Rebecca Gilson, from Maria Marin, and from Gemma Brogan. That was so close. 100th of a second between the top 4 riders. I am so pleased there is a computer to call that. This on the road here, coming into the finish, this is the category 2 ride here as the sprint comes through the line. 5 riders in that category 2 field as well. So Garioni takes that sprint for the category 2 win from Morgane Olsen. Wow, wow, wow. Jojo Bauer takes the win from Rebecca Gilson, from Maria Marin and from Gemma Brogan with just over 100th of a second separating all 4. Oliveri comes in for 5th place, rounding out the top 5 in category 1. And then we see the sprint for the win in category 2 with Garioni and Olsen and Antico coming through the line. What a race and what a finish. Absolutely outstanding racing in category 1 and in category 2 today. So let's just confirm that. Bauer, Gilson, Marin, Brogan and Oliveri, your top 5 in category 1 today. Garioni, Olsen and Tico, Gavaria and Giraldo, your top 5 in category 2 today. Absolutely outstanding racing. Just what we want to start November. So, as we see the rest of our riders start to come through the finish line, head over to MyWhoosh.com for all of the race results. You'll be able to see all 4 categories race results come through there, and I posted when made official. So, what a great start to November. The racing has been superb in the women's race today. Don't forget, you can indeed check those results on mywhoosh.com. They will be verified and made official once all the checks are done. As we mentioned, you can follow us on social media, and please do for any updates that come out during the month. So I, for one, have had and seen some amazing racing today, and I cannot wait for qualifier number 2 next week. Join us for the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club next weekend for qualifier number 2. See you then.